Welcome to Industry Insiders, where we explore the people, ideas, and innovations shaping the A&D world. I'm your host, Shivani Vyas, and today we have Melissa Villa, who will share her insights from Chilewich. Melissa, we are so grateful to have you and very excited to learn more about you and Chilewich. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Shivani. I'm really happy to be here.
Wonderful. And we're really excited to learn more about your role with Chilewich. I know right now you're the Senior Vice President, A&D, and previously you were the Sales Director. So please tell us more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So again, yes, I'm the SVP of A&D, and A&D obviously targeted to architects and designers. We also are a company that has many divisions from trade to A&D, and we sort of oversee all of that in the sense that we can deal with small decorators as well as big commercial firms, hospitality firms. And we have a different set of products available to the A&D market. So that's sort of what I run over here at Chilewich, that difference between what you're probably used to with Chilewich as far as placemats and area rugs. We really get into wall textiles, commercial flooring, upholstery, shade fabric. So I oversee that for the brand internationally.
That's amazing. And tell me more about, I know with your rich background in product development, do you feel like there's a certain part of the creative process that starts your inspiration for you every day, or anything to get your creative juices flowing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my first job in the industry was with Dongia. Actually, that's where I met Scotty Elliott, and I really owe it to them for creating a real foundation for everything that I do. I was in textile development when I worked for them, so I learned everything from, technical aspects and color theory to real adaptations. And so, as a VP, I get to work really closely with marketing, our design team, and I have a little say in all of the things we do. So I'm just inspired daily in having that sort of technical knowledge, the design knowledge, but then of course, like what it takes to bring that product out into the field and inspire designers to use us and hopefully, spec us on future projects.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of everything, and you're exposed to, every department every day, and it all comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. We are small but mighty here at Chilewich. In our New York office, we have less than 30 people. And so we all have a hand in pretty much everything that we do. So you may be in marketing or design, but you're really tapped into every division and every role. We kind of always lend a hand whenever we can. So it's a really nice collaboration.
That sounds lovely. And, going back to the creative process, do you feel like there's a few elements that guide your creative process, or even any design elements in general that feel like a signature for the brand?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately our creative process is about blending aesthetics with practicality. We always want to ensure that our designs like make a visual impact, but also stand the test of time. I mean, I'm sure you're aware we're a woven clean vinyl material. And so it's this dichotomy of a heavy, strong, durable product, but we want to make it as beautiful and livable as possible. So we're really just committed to that innovation and functionality. Those are the two things that really kind of keep us on top of design and creativity. And we have collections at the permanent collection at the Smithsonian Cooper Hewitt. We've been part of MoMA's Good Design. So we're like consistently prioritizing design in everything we create.
So it sounds like, sustainability is also important. I was reading that the woven textiles that you do have, they contain at least 18% of renewable vegetable content. Is that true?
Yeah, so it's funny. The word vinyl really evokes such a range of reactions, and we understand why. And that said, Chilewich vinyl really stands apart. And I had mentioned we're a woven clean vinyl. I like to use that word. It's because our products are free of lead and phthalates. We remove any synthetic plasticizers and we replace them with a soybean extract. So, you know, we just don't feel like vinyl is the correct term, but it is. Like, we are vinyl no matter what. But people are scared of it. And we like to explain that there's more to it than just that word. Our new earth felt backing systems that we use for installed flooring, we've reduced carbon emissions by 51% compared to our last backing system. It's also increased our rapidly renewable content from, I think, 5 to 12%. So Chilewich is always looking to make themselves better. I mean, I think that's the story of sustainability. Like, what more can we do? It's always a learning process, and we're always evolving and just trying to do better. If anyone's ever used our placemats or had rugs of ours, they'll say things like, I've had it for 20 years. Our product does withstand the test of time. And so there's that. You're not constantly replacing our product. It just has a longer lifespan. And I think I've mentioned this, but we're woven in the US. So if you're working on a project here in the States or anywhere in North America, the travel, the distance, the coming from overseas, that doesn't happen with us. And I think that's also important in our green story.
I love that too. And you had mentioned, so the designs are based in New York and then the factories in Chatsworth, Georgia. And then a little bit going back to the reactions you mentioned, what is the general reaction that you get when people in the A&D world hear the word vinyl? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's mixed. I'd say you've got a really large portion of people who are used to using vinyl and actually want to use it for the properties that we have, meaning we're bleach cleanable, we're super easy to clean, we're durable, we're cost effective, all the things people really need or want, whether it's residential or commercial, right? So it obviously has really positive features. But that being said, there are a lot of larger firms who we love and work with very closely who really care about the environment, which is amazing. And, have decided we are going to clean up our libraries and we're going to remove anything with PVC or anything with vinyl. And most of them have been very generous in giving us time to come in and say, wait, before you do that, let us tell you who we are and why we're a little different than your typical. It works sometimes, and sometimes they just have a blanket statement that's no more vinyl, right?
That's understandable. So it sounds like durability and price usually weigh in as the final deciding factors for both commercial and residential.
Yeah, I mean, even residential clients, like even high-end luxury accounts, sometimes it's like, this might be the last thing and the budget's already really tight. And, we try to work with everyone from our small clients to our large ones to make sure that we are affordable and people can use us no matter what the budget is. But, we have competitors out there, other woven vinyls, and they also have great stories. But because we are about 25 years into this, I feel like we've perfected it, right? We've gone through some, moments of trouble where we didn't get it exactly right. And I think we've now ended with a product that is probably at its peak.
And when you say at its peak, tell me more about that.
I mentioned we have many different applications in A&D, and they range from, I always say you can design with Chilewich from the ground up, meaning we can be a rug and we can make rugs basically any size and shape you want. We could be installed flooring, so like broadloom, tiles, planks, wall to wall, broadloom, wall to wall. We can be wall textiles. Our wall textiles now are type 3, which is actually considered a wall protectant. We can also be upholstery, window fabric, and it's all indoor outdoor. And so when I say I feel like we're at our peak, we've gone through many different backing systems, right? For each of those applications, like what's the best? How is it going to stay on the wall the longest and seam the best? And, what's the easiest to install? We think about all of those things. And flooring, our flooring, if it's installed, we have a 15-year warranty on our flooring. We stand behind our product. And so I think those are the things that make me feel like we're at our peak, like that we could stand behind it. We could say 15 years, sure. We know it's going to be okay. So yeah, we've gone through many trials and tribulations and here we are with a product that really stands out as top tier.
So it sounds like, durability, longevity. I'm hearing those are two big themes. And then also you had mentioned something about your carbon footprint. And I apologize, I forgot earlier, something that your backing had changed recently and that there's been a 50% reduction.
Yeah, so we had a backing system for flooring called biofelt, which also did have really great recyclable properties. But our new earth felt product, we lowered carbon emissions by 51%. So I think that was also a huge advancement and adding to our peak performance.
Exactly. So the sustainability too, going back to that, that's all what makes the product top tier. And like you said, you're feeling really good about it being at its peak right now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, we still consider ourselves a luxury product. So, despite all of the things I've discussed, durability, cleanability, we're still luxury and affordability, but it is high design. And again, designed here in New York. This is our studio. I wish I could take you on a tour, but we still create here. We have a Dobby loom, and our loom is used daily for hand samples before anything goes into major production. We have a hand sample woven to ensure it's what we want, right? So our design team is still doing everything from inception to the completion of a product. We're not sending it off to a mill to have woven for us. Like we really are, designing true new innovative product here.
It sounds like it's a close-knit team. It's very personalized. Your hands are on everything that you're doing. Nothing is outsourced. So tell me a little, I'm very curious about that part. So the design process is in New York and then the factory's in Georgia. So what role do you feel like, and I feel like you've touched on this already, but what role do you feel like that process plays in ensuring quality? Like, and how does that set you apart?
Well, first I'd say, while we design here and we weave samples, we do have a partner mill in Alabama that we've been working with since day one. And so for over 25 years, and everything gets woven on their industrial size looms there. And then once that material is complete, everything then gets sent to our facility in Chatsworth. And that's where I always say the real magic happens, because then we are able to take those textiles, because first and foremost, Chilewich is a textile company, right? We are a woven material. And we take that and say, how would you like to use it, Shivani? And you'll say, I want to use it for wall textiles. Great. In Georgia, we say wall textiles. We have a tri-lam backing that we adhere through a lamination process all on our own. And typically it takes less than 2 weeks. So we stock all our component fabric in-house in Georgia. So that's thousands of yards. And when an order is placed, it then gets, sort of like the line, and we make it. So everything is basically available in 2 weeks. You're really never waiting. I'd say 3 weeks tops for rugs, but I hear 12-week lead times, 13-week lead times. And now when things are coming overseas, even longer. So that's also part of, I'd say, our process in general and what really keeps us special.
I really appreciate that too, especially because you're a luxury brand and the quality and all of that combined, but still having such a short lead time.
Yes, it's kind of unheard of. It is sort of unheard of. I mean, there's always the rare instance where, someone places a very large order and depletes our stock without like a sort of like being ready for it. And if we have to weave something, it's 6 weeks. But again, it's still a really short lead time, and it's pretty rare that we have that.
That's
Yeah.
very impressive, even for the weaving, process, 6 weeks.
Yes. No, it's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about the commercial settings. I know that you cater to both residential and commercial, but how does the Chilewich team approach creating designs that fit into a commercial space?
It's a really good question. I feel like our design team really approaches every design with a focus on like balancing aesthetics, durability, and functionality, like ensuring that every product that they design seamlessly transitions between both residential and commercial environments. We really believe that great design transcends context and works beautifully in a home and should also stand up to the demands of a real high traffic commercial space. So I don't think they necessarily go into the design process thinking, is this going to be residential or is this going to be commercial? They think of it as one. Color may be the one thing I think we do have to make sure we go a little darker. We think about darker colors for commercial spaces because a lot of times people want a product that kind of conceals dirt, right? Even though we say you have to clean it, that people aren't necessarily cleaning every single day. And so if you use a really light shade, no matter what, right, you're going to see dirt, even if it's easy to clean. So I think color would be the only thing that kind of like separates residential from commercial.
I see. So it sounds like color being the forgiving factor, as far as the placing that fabric or that textile in a commercial setting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that makes total sense too. So
Yeah. I agree. I see it. And I have, it's really nice. Like I said, we all work so closely. So, when we're cutting up the color blankets here in the studio, I take part in it. I look at the color options that are available, and the design team's so great in saying, like, we would love for your voice in this decision because, I know the market and what people are asking for when you're out on the field. So it is a real collaboration.
I really appreciate that too. Just it sounds like there's such a close-knit group as far as the work culture is concerned, but also how that drives the sales process, it drives the design process. So you're all working together to ensure that final result for the customer or the client.
Yes. They're always first in our minds when we're kind of like collaborating. Yeah. We just want to make sure it's something usable. We can't just design like what we want and what we love, right? Like it does have to transcend. So yeah.
Well, of course, in the 15-year warranty that speaks for itself, right? So
Yeah, part of me is like, I feel like it's too long, not because I don't think it can make it, but like, I'm in sales. I need people to want to purchase new. Like I need I can't have everyone using this for 15 years. They're never going to come back. And, it's like, I was like, we should make this, let's make it 5 so that, in 5 years they want to redecorate. Yeah. So sometimes we feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit with how strong our product really is and its lifespan. Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I always have people coming up to me when they find out I'm at Chilewich saying, "Oh, I've had your placemats for 20 years." And I'm always like, "Oh, that's so gross." Like I understand because they still look beautiful, but it's like it's time for new. Let's change those out for you. And I every time make sure I send them new placemats on us because I'm like 20 years is a long time.
You want that refresh from a design perspective, but also from a cleanliness and a hygienic perspective, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, you can clean it, right? We are bleach cleanable. I think there just comes a time where like even the cleanest of clean people let things go after some years. And then it's like, it just becomes almost like an impossible feat to make it look and feel as clean as it did day one. But hey, it still works. It's good. I actually, when I first joined the Chilewich team, I was so beyond excited because when I graduated college and moved into my first apartment, I saved up to buy a Chilewich rug. It was
Yeah.
everything. I just loved it. I'm such a fan even back then. And I still have the rug today. So, and that was graduated college, in the early 2000s. I don't want to say too much, but so I've had my rug for 20 years. So I guess technically I'm gross if I'm using my assumption of people with placemats for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, they really just are long lasting products.
That's remarkable. It shows the longevity. I mean, you've had yours, since college, and that's actually a nice story to add in there too. Just knowing that even before you worked for the company, you had a passion for the products.
Huge fan. And it's funny, the design that I bought back then, it was sort of like a wood grain design. We relaunched a couple of years ago. We relaunched the wood grain, and it's a wonderful selling design for us. So again, the design also withstands the test of time, which is pretty inspiring.
And then would you also say some styles just cycle, over and over again? Have you noticed certain specific styles in commercial settings come back over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, we recently did a collaboration with Martha Stewart, and it was really, we launched it maybe 6 months ago. And as you, I'm sure, are familiar, Martha Stewart has a very sort of like traditional feel. We did a lot of sort of more flowery, almost that like prairie kind of look. And it's just so exciting to see how that really works in our market now. Like there is a need for something a little more traditional and not necessarily just like stripes and geometrics, and which is something I think we're really good at. But now we're working towards like softer designs and things that might feel a little bit more feminine and have really like gained traction within the last few years. So I know we're developing something for, giving you a little insider tidbit, but we're working on something for A&D coming out in the fall of 2025 that does have that more botanical, organic feel in contrast with a geometric design. So again, we really are seeing all sorts of trends that kind of come in and out through the years, but then still feel classic and can be usable no matter what the trend is at the moment.
I love that. And then tell me more about, as far as the geometrics and the stripes. I know you mentioned that you feel the styles are softening. And would you say that that's happening more in commercial? Do you feel like it was more rigid in the past when it came to commercial spaces, and now there's textiles or patterns that you would have more likely found in residential, but now they're shifting over to commercial?
Yeah. And it's funny. I think, I mentioned to you, I think before we jumped on this call, but that we used to be known as the contract division, and we changed our name to A&D, Architects and Designers. Really, we wanted to cast a wider net, but also we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves. Contract really denotes something super specific. And I remember meeting with clients, designers like yourself, right? That would say, oh, I'm not contract. I'm not a contract designer, but they would be designing for hospitality and doing boutique hotels. And I'm like, oh, well, no, that is contract, right? I think there was a time where contract really felt like a very specific look that didn't come with a good impression. Like people thought it felt more almost stale, static. It had to look like a corporate office. No fun, no joy, no color. And it's actually like become the opposite. And like I mentioned about how we design thinking it's going to work and transcend residential to commercial. And that's not just because that's how we design, but I think the world of commercial design has evolved, and thank goodness. And I think it probably started before this, but a word I don't like to use, and I'm sure you cringe hearing it, but I think it does sum it up. But when residential became such a big sort of thing in our world, it did sum up a feeling that we were all having, that we don't want to work in a space that doesn't feel like home. And so I think that's why our designs and having more botanical weaves or geometric patterns, which may have been traditionally more commercial, but changing them, making them more colorful, making them soft, making them have movement, is something that we've really sort of, I know, have been really successful with lately.
So it sounds like bringing in the comforts of the residential look into a commercial space.
Yeah, I think it's still very important, especially when we've all worked from home for many, many years, and companies are trying to get their employees back. And the way to do that is to make them feel like they're still working at home when they're in the office. So I think that goes into design, whether it's flooring, wall textiles, upholstery, whatever, and not just our product, but really anything.
So the softening effect has been good.
Absolutely. I think so. I think so. And I think we're seeing it just in sales in general, and design, and what people are buying, what they were buying 10 years ago as opposed to now. Yeah.
And then the Martha Stewart collection. So I am kind of a side note here, but I'm a huge fan. I just read her business book earlier this year. Did you get a chance to meet her, or?
I did. I'll send you our picture after this. Yes, and she was lovely. So we had an opening party. We have a retail store across from the D&D, so it somewhat acts as like a showroom slash, obviously retail store. And when we launched the collection, we had a party, and she came and she stayed for like the whole party. It was amazing. She talked to everybody, took pictures with all of us. She couldn't have been better. I mean, truly an icon. And, it's funny because her documentary came out not long after, and it just felt like, oh, wow, it's like kismet. It's like she's everywhere. She's always everywhere. She felt like she was really everywhere at that moment. And the collection's beautiful and does really well. So, yeah. And we're already working on a new one with her. So we're excited to continue the partnership.
Oh, I love that. And I would love to meet her one day. She's my idol. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I can see that. I'd say she's one of the true feminists, and it's nice for all of us to have her to look up to.
I couldn't agree more. And any other collections you're excited about coming in?
So we also did this year, might as well just talk about ones that we have already done. We, in the A&D side, collaborated with West Elm, and we launched a new weave with them and new colors of existing patterns, which has been really great. It's nice to team up with them and just sort of reach that wider network that they have. It's kind of two totally different clientele or client bases. So that was really nice to work with them. And actually, one of my new favorite weaves, it's called Vestige, is a weave that we collaborated with them on. And yeah, so that's also been a really exciting big sort of collab. And I find when I'm out and about, it's always the younger designers who may not have known of us, of Chilewich, but when we mention this collab, it's like, okay, it almost like gives them something to, oh, they're legitimate. Like if they don't know, it's how it's like super, super young and not really knowing who we are. I think until they see it in its full scope, I think hearing that we've collaborated with someone that they're familiar with has been a big help for us, a nice boost.
So like that moment, forming that connection.
Yeah. It's great. And we do have others coming. I can't quite say yet, just contractually, but there are some exciting things coming in 2025 where we're always looking for the next. We did years ago a wonderful collaboration with John Darien, and that did really well for us, mostly tabletop, but we love collaborating with special people and special companies. So we'll continue to do so.
That sounds lovely. And congratulations on all the collections and good luck with the upcoming ones.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you so
Melissa, I'd love
much.
to tap in a little bit for, I guess, some personal advice. Looking back, are there any career lessons or moments of insight you'd like to share with the design community?
Yeah, I'd say with my sales background through the years, I've really learned that designers prioritize materials and like blend aesthetics, durability, and versatility and cost. And I feel like, they appreciate how our products enhance the spaces, but, still are practical and easy to maintain. And I've just seen like the relationships I have with these clients through the years, like there's trust. And so when they see these things with my current company, like they'll come back. And I think that's the thing as far as insight is trust, transparency. And thankfully I've always worked for amazing companies that I had the ability to provide truth and good, well-made products. And I think that's why after all these years, I still have wonderful relationships and connections that really have kept me going through the years. So I think like wherever you are in this industry is to just always maintain your transparency and your truth. And I think you'll just always go far. And it's such a small industry in the best way. I think that's why it's so important. And yeah, I'd say that's my thing. And I mean, that should also be like a life, not just for work, but like truth and transparency in life. And it's just the way I think about all my friendships and, you know, in my 40s. And I think about how many of them stemmed from my early part of my career and how I just keep gaining new ones. And it's just lovely when your work and your personal life can blend, but in not in a no work life balance, but in a way that you would just get to enjoy what you do. It's really something
So
pretty cool.
having it, flourish together naturally or organically over time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I value what you said. That's sound advice. Transparency, truth, and building those relationships from the start of your career, anytime, any project that you're on. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, yes.
Well, I know you've shared a few collections coming up. Anything else on the horizon for Chilewich or any goals, projects that you're excited to dive into or tell our audience about?
You know, I think for us, we work with so many great like end users, and I'm excited to continue working on like large standards with, you know, bigger companies. We've had a wonderful relationship with Peloton and, you know, Santander Bank, Chanel, and we have more coming in 2025, more of those relationships we're really excited about. I'm excited to build on our sustainability story. Like I said, it's always a process for us. So there's more to come in 2025. You know, the yarns we use and trying to get more recyclable material in that. So, you know, the one thing that, again, this little insider info is we're working on digitally printing our woven substrate. So we already do it for tabletop. And while you know, tabletop, you don't have to worry so much about the durability. But when it comes to flooring, that's a big step. But we are on the brink and with our 15-year warranty still there. And when we launch that, hopefully this year, maybe early next, it will change everything as far as minimums and colors and designs and we can open up the doors to so much more for our clients if digital printing really becomes a bigger part of what we do. And seeing the first samples, we like align a woven design next to one of these digital printing designs. And Shivani, honestly, I have a very discerning eye. I can't tell it apart. So, you know, it's not going to sort of soften the look or make it look cheap. It's truly something beyond innovative and exciting for us. So that's probably, I'd say, one of my it's what I'm most excited for the brand and for us, for our division too, in particular.
That's remarkable. And you can't even tell the difference. And oh my
No.
gosh, like 3D
Yeah.
printing a floor. I can't even.
I truly cannot see the difference. And I'm telling you, everyone here knows I'm a little one of those, like, did you change your mascara? My God. No, like I see everything. So it really is, it's really well done. So hopefully
So,
soon.
and where can we stay tuned for that? Any architect and design firms wanting to stay in the know about updates with Chilewich or start working with all of you, what would be the next best step?
I would say a couple things. Obviously, follow us on all the platforms, right? follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, if I think people still are on there, but we're on there constantly updating and giving people our latest innovative launches and products. Also, local sales reps. We have an amazing sales team out there in every territory. I'm also always open. Anytime anyone wants to email me or call me direct, I'm so happy to share the knowledge of what's going on. But our sales reps are really boots on the ground. And obviously our website, we're in the middle of a transition for our platform. Our website in the next 4 months is going to be bigger and better than ever. You're going to be able to, through the A&D site, order things you weren't able to order before direct. And so we're just continuously making ourselves better and easier to work with. So I think people are going to hear from us, and we're advertising more. We've never really done that before. We were usually more word of mouth, and, we're trying to step it up and, be more vocal. And I think you'll start seeing that.
Lots of new exciting updates on the horizon, it sounds like. And good luck with the website launch. I will keep a lookout too. And, Melissa, thank you so much for all your time today. It was great learning about you, your journey with Chilewich, and the exciting updates that are coming up. So thank you again.
Thank you, Shivani. It was so nice chatting with you. I really appreciate you having me.